That's my secret, cat. I'm always angry.
Alright. I ran out of patience. On the roost!
Hey everyone, Captain, big fan of Spider-Man.
Avengers! Assemble.
Hello, Peter.
Hello and welcome back to the Infinity Saga and Beyond MCU Fan Podcast. My name is Jordan Wiegand, and with me today is nobody. I'm here alone here. I know I said I wanted to do like a comic get to know Miss Marvel before we started here, but might have to save like some sort of comparison show for after the show's run. I was a little incognito for a bit here because I had my dog had surgery. He was having we found a tumor on him. Everything seems to be good, so should be all good from there. But I've been just taking care of him, spending more time with him lately, so it's kind of been a hectic mess of trying to get some time to record with either somebody or, even setting aside some time with myself after, being off. I had a family visit. I had my dog surgery. It was a lot of crazy time here. So I do apologize for not getting something out in that regard. But yeah, everything should be going back to normal now. But we are going to be talking about episode 1 of Miss Marvel, which just premiered on Disney Plus on Wednesday. And it was called Generation Y, WHY. It was directed by Adil and Bilal and written by Bisha K. Ali, who also wrote an episode of Loki, and released on Disney Plus on June 8th. And we're going to get into episode Generation Y. Let me read the Disney Plus blurb for it. Let's see. It is Kamala Khan attends AvengerCon only to discover that she herself might have superpowers. And the longer one here is Kamala Khan, a teenager growing up in Jersey City and mega fan of the Avengers, feels a little out of place at school, sometimes even at home. She's determined to attend AvengerCon, even if her parents won't allow it. But what starts off as a Captain Marvel cosplay competition takes an unexpected turn, is she becoming one of the superheroes she has always looked up to. So, first thoughts, before we dig into the plot and everything, is I really enjoyed this show. Big surprise, right? I like every show so far. But no, this show had a different feel to it. It had a very distinct style. It had a very distinct feel to it. So that I really enjoyed. I thought it was really great feel of what it is to be a high schooler. Anybody can relate to this, right? Now we're seeing it from a different perspective, though. We are seeing it from Kamala Khan, who is a Muslim, who has a very kind of like strict parents, or at least the mom seems really strict, while the dad is kind of more of this loosey-goosey guy, that tries to be hip at times with his daughter. But, it's kind of like the expectation on her right now is to not be fantasizing or enjoying superheroes. And that is kind of the thing that is her main issue, right? The main thing that bumps the heads of her mother and her is the fact that she likes having this like almost like fantasy world of being into the superheroes. And for us, that's a fantasy world, but for them, it's real life. And her mom's kind of like, you're not going to be able to be a superhero. Focus on your studies, get your license, right? Move on. And Kamala is just really into Captain Marvel. We see her making like this kind of like paper YouTube video with some like like effects on her iPad and using paper, almost like a stop motion type thing, I guess. It's hard to describe it, but it was a really cool, distinct opening to the show. And seeing her post it, she only has 5 or 8 views, kind of like our show, right? If you look at the YouTube of some of, well, actually, this one does okay. We don't post this one on YouTube, but for some of the podcasts I post on YouTube, little viewers, stuff like that. So that's what she's kind of living with. We're introduced to Bruno, her friend. We're also introduced to another friend of hers, which is Nakia, and both of them have a bet that she would fail her, if she would fail or not. Bruno bet that she would pass the license, and Nakia had suggested she would fail it, and Bruno had to pay Nakia. So that's kind of where we start off here with the episode. Failing the driver license exam, going to school, meeting her guidance counselor, Mr. Wilson, I think it was, and just instantly thrust into this world of what Kamala Khan's life is like. And they will get something in the mail, like postage, that is from her grandmother. And it has a golden bangle in it, but her mom says it's junk, and has her brother Amir put it upstairs. So when it's time for her to add flair to her costume for the Captain Marvel cosplay contest, she's going to add that as flair. And what we're going to learn at the end here is that has some sort of magical properties. We'll probably learn more about that in episode 2, I would think. But we have not learned that at this time. I wonder exactly what is going to happen here. Not going plot by plot here, but there, the main thing is that she's trying to convince her parents to let her go to AvengerCon. The deal is she can go with her dad if they both of them dress as the Hulk. And that's not what Kamala wants. Her dad's super excited. She hurts his feelings. And that's kind of the thing there. But she is going to then come up with this, plan of how to get them there, which is take the bus, right? Bruno calls that out. But when you're seeing it in the flare of them like jumping their bikes off the bridge and landing it on top of the bus, stuff that's not going to happen. And it all starts going wrong when she jumps out her window and the branch falls as well for the tree. So already seeing that she's running late on that. The tree branch falls. They almost missed the bus. Her bike gets left behind. And, she's going to go to the cosplay thing. Bruno makes these gloves. And you can tell he's kind of hurt that she forgot them on the bathroom floor when it's cosplay time. But that's kind of what's needed, right? To set off this, her magical powers. Because the bracelet is giving the magical powers. The bangle is giving the magical powers. It's going to stretch the hand to try to catch, the one girl is kind of like the popular girl, Zoe. Going to catch her, and everybody's recording this and having a oh man, and I think she ends up winning. I'm not sure if we actually know that or not, but it is very reminiscent to the kind of dream she had of winning, in her mind. But everything kind of goes wrong, but she's able to save Zoe, and they're gonna run home, and this is when her mom's waiting in the room for her. And we get this moment where the mother is very hurt. Focus on your own story grounds her. And the episode ends here. But then we get a mid-credit scene where we do see the Department of Damage Control. And we see Agent P. Cleary, who is in No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home. And Sadie Deaver, who is another damage control agent, is watching a video of Kamala's incident at AvengerCon and hands it over to P. Cleary and says, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And they say, "Let's bring her in." And that's where it kind of left off. I wasn't expecting a mid-credit scene. I didn't read anything about this beforehand. I had no idea there was a mid-credit scene. I was just letting the credits roll. And it comes up, and I was like, ooh, this is fun. We're getting another scene. And I thought it was really great that they brought in somebody from Spider-Man No Way Home. We know he's in New York, Department of Damage Control. He's one of the ones that goes and gets Peter and interrogates him. And now he's going to go get Kamala. So we got a link there. Yeah, I don't know. I just really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was a really great opening, really great way to introduce this. I love the idea of AvengerCon. Now I'm guessing this is not a officially sanctioned thing. It didn't seem that way. But it seems like maybe put together by the fans who's going to go to AvengerCon and, do all these competitions. We saw a lot of merch that even produced merch of like Groot and Drax and Gamora, which is funny. We learned that a way that most of these people learn about the events of this is apparently a podcast that Scott Lang was on talking about the events of the end of Endgame, which is awesome. Apparently Kevin Feige had to turn down the suggestion from the writer, Bisha Ali, that her suggestion was, what if there was like drones filming Endgame? And Feige turned that down. So the way that they had to introduce it, I guess, is the Scott Lang podcast, right? What was it called? Like Big Me, Little Me or something. Really great photo art on it too, actually. It was really great. But AvengerCon's great. I would love if they actually make AvengerCon. Let's give Marvel their own Star Wars Celebration type event. I think it could be a lot of fun. I think AvengerCon could be great. That's where they can do a lot of their announcements instead of mixing it in with D23 or doing San Diego Comic-Con. I think AvengerCon would be a lot of fun. So Feige said maybe that's a possibility. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, that was a really great time with the AvengerCon. Even hear the Star Spangled Man song from Captain America: The First Avenger. I mean, the love and little touches that were put into this show is great. And now we kind of have an answer of how does everybody know what happened at the end of Endgame? We have the podcast answer. That kind of stuff is just wonderful. So really dug the vibe of the show. I don't know where it goes from here. Where can we go from here? Who's going to be the villain? Or is it all just about, the critics have seen the first 2 episodes. Obviously we've only seen the one. So I am curious to see how this is gonna go. We have a lot of recurring writers in this show. We have Bisha K. Ali, who wrote Loki episode Lamentus. We have Bisha K. Ali is the head writer of Miss Marvel and wrote the first episode. We have A.C. Bradley, the writer of What If, writing part of the teleplay for episode 3, episode 4, and episode 6. Matthew Chauncey, who also wrote for What If, is writing those episodes with A.C. Bradley. And yeah, so we have at least 3 writers that have wrote in the MCU before are now writing in this show. So that's pretty interesting. Okay. So let's talk about the power change, I guess. In the comic, she's an Inhuman. She has stretchy powers in beginning, like Fantastic Four's Mr. Fantastic. I'm fine with the change. It's going to make her fit in more with Captain Marvel. where she will be in the Captain Marvel film, the Marvels. We have largely the rest of it feels very Kamala Khan. So I think that's what they needed to do is make sure you hit the rest of the character notes. If you change the power, everything looks good. If they're not going to be introducing Inhumans on a large scale or making her a mutant, then you have to find a different way to introduce these powers. And I think the way that they did that is very good so far. I understand people are upset about it, but I feel like the show has so far won people over in that sense. I remember people really being worried about how the show would be, but Aman Vellani, who is the actress who's playing Kamala Khan, is charismatic. She really stole the show here. I don't know if you can really say steal the show, I guess, because it is her show. But I'm saying is like all the spotlight was on her and she delivered above and beyond. So for me, I think that so far this is a great start to the series. I wish we maybe had another episode to talk about because this episode is largely set up. It's a really great first episode, largely set up. So I feel like I already went through all the plot and don't have too much to add here. And we're still very short on time. We're only at 16 minutes in right now. But I will say, just overall, I think it nailed a lot of the feel that the comics do. And I think it nailed the character other than the powers. And I think that that's fine. I think people are going to eventually get over it. Because she's just so darn likable and the character is just so great. This is the reason Kamala Khan got an adaptation. This is why she was so popular after just being created in like 2013. She's so likable, she's so charming, she's such a geek like us. She's into Avengers, she's reading, she's making these little web videos, making comic type things of the characters based in her world. She enjoys that. We kind of get why she likes Captain Marvel too, right? Is from the way Scott mentions it about Captain Marvel coming down and breaking into the ship. She mentions that at the beginning in one of her little videos. I think that's where she started liking Captain Marvel, right? When you hear that this person was so strong and was able to just rip through the ship of Thanos and really, even take a punch from Thanos or whatever, that shows that is a really strong Avenger. And for Kamala, looking up to another female woman Avenger, that is why she's latching onto that. Oh, also at AvengerCon, we have the thank you for your sacrifice little wall painting of Black Widow and Iron Man, which is great that we get some more Black Widow stuff there. But yeah, I mean, I'm really digging the vibe. It had some really great transitions. There was some great filming things. I saw a way that there's this one scene where she goes to lay on the couch and she falls like backwards onto it and is laying upside down watching the TV. And there's like a clip going around on how they did that with this setup with the camera and the way that it rolls. And it was just really cool. And it's those little flares of style and stuff that this is really, I feel like, outside WandaVision, really, I think one of the first MCU shows that is having flair, having style, having different touches to it, camera-wise. I did see somebody compare this to Lizzie McGuire, and I can kind of see that with, we have Lizzie McGuire having like the little cartoon Lizzie McGuire talking to herself. We have ways that are, like when her and Bruno are riding on bikes and you have what they're talking about. What's the flair for my costume? Zombie Carol Danvers. And you have like a zombie Carol Danvers drawing on the wall coming to life. Or when they're doing their text exchange and you're reading Bruno's texts from the neon lights that are in his building. The ... as somebody typing, and then the emoji and all this kind of stuff. It was really creative ways of showing us what is on their phone instead of just showing us, here's the phone. Being able to show us, and even just instead of having little blurbs pop up on the screen, having it be on the streets. Like there was the with an emoji that was on the street as he's crossing a crosswalk. And like I said, the neon lights of the emojis or the dot 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 when they're typing. It's just real creative ways to kind of track what they're typing and being able to follow their conversation in new ways instead of just here's some words on a screen or let's get an over the shoulder shot of them looking at their phone. It's that little flair. The drawings on the wall as they're riding their bikes, talking about the Carol Danvers flair. The opening with the intro to why she likes Carol Danvers and making Avengers stuff. It's those little flares that make this show stand out more than I think most of the other MCU shows have. And if they nail this for 6 consecutive weeks, this has a real shot at being the best MCU show and the most different MCU show. The one that really makes you feel like this is a different show. This is something different. I think Moon Knight had that feel as well because it was so disconnected, but there wasn't really that many different like camera work or different moves, different vibes with the actual show. It was, we're taking this serious matter and we are kind of detaching it from the rest of the MCU, and you can focus just on this little story of Steve and Grant. While this show is like, we are really in the MCU. Here's AvengerCon. Here's all this stuff. But we're adding different flares and different styles to the way it's shot, the way it's produced, the way it's, the graphics are on the screen. That is what they're nailing so far. And if they do keep this up, this will be something that can stand out. People won't be able to say that the MCU is all the same. They won't be able to say that, oh, this is just another entry in that, because it's got just a very different, distinct vibe that while, yes, it takes place there, it is nailing the production so differently that you can see that it has its own unique feel in the MCU. And that's what we need more of, I think, to be able to differentiate this. I understand them wanting to, like, the films are always going to have sort of that same consistency. But I think when we're going into TV series, we need more things that make it different to be able to, one, sit around for 6 weeks watching a new show. I think She-Hulk is going to nail this too, with its 9 episodes and the vibe of that She-Hulk trailer. It's probably going to be very similar of, we're nailing this different feel. We're giving you something new. We're giving you something different, but yet we're still attached to this universe. And I think you're going to see an increase of that in these Disney Plus shows that'll make them stand out more. And, you can have something that takes place in that larger universe that even acknowledges that, but also is very self-contained. And I think that's what we're getting with Miss Marvel so far. That's what we got with Moon Knight. And I think we're going to get that with She-Hulk as well. Not everything has to lead into something. Not everything has to have a million cameos. That is the most annoying part so far. I talked about it with Jack on the Multiverse of Madness episode. Is there are, influencers on Twitter and TikTok that are there because they freak out about cameos, and they either didn't enjoy something because there was no cameos, or they want more cameos. They think Secret Wars is going to have every darn Marvel character that ever existed. That kind of stuff is annoying. You can tell a heartfelt story, which I felt like this first episode really was, with the conflict between Kamala and her mother. And you can do that, introduce a new character, introduce her new powers, have it take place in this larger world, but also be self-contained. And I think we will get that. I think if we are to get any sort of the Marvels tie-in, it's probably a post-credit scene at the end of the show. That's kind of my vibe I'm getting here. I've probably rambled enough. I know this is not as long as our usual shows. I am just by myself, so it's a little tougher for me. I don't have anything to bounce off of right now. But I looking forward to episode 2 this Wednesday. It is something I'm actively looking forward to. I just watched this one yesterday, by the way, Saturday. I had a busy day on Wednesday, had a busy day on Thursday, slammed on Friday. I really only got around to it on Saturday. So I am thankfully, this is kind of the order I'm probably going to go in on Wednesday. It's probably going to be Obi-Wan, Miss Marvel. And if you're interested in Obi-Wan coverage, I'm covering that over on the Pod Awakens, which is our Star Wars podcast, part of Logjam Media. So if you're into that, you can look up the Pod Awakens. For that, I did not get a chance to do an episode 3 recap. I'm doing that mixed with episodes 3 and 4. I'm recording that right after this because, again, like I said, just been a slammed couple weeks here with my life. So, okay, I really enjoyed this show. I thought it nailed it more than I thought it would. It is something that I'm really looking forward to episode 2 for. Really interested to see where they go. They did leave the gloves in the bathroom of Bruno's. I'm wondering if that comes back up somehow. He, like I said, he was hurt, it seemed, but I don't know if maybe that changes now that she's got powers. Or if somebody's going to somehow tie that to Bruno and think it was some sort of stunt or something. I don't know. If that's kind of my thought, is somehow those ones that were left on the bathroom floor are going to come back, because they pointed out that he put his, Bruno Carpielli company, right? Or Bruno Corelli company is written on there. So I don't know if that's somehow going to tie back into it. Maybe that comes in with the damage control people that gets him in trouble. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking next episode is going to be about the damage control people coming to see Kamala and Bruno and getting more information on that. That's kind of the vibe. I do hope P. Cleary, the damage control person, I'm wondering if he's going to have a role in Secret Invasion at all, because I think Secret Invasion is going to be tied to the Marvels. He's tied to Spider-Man and Miss Marvel so far. He does mention Nick Fury being off planet in Spider-Man No Way Home. We know Nick Fury is off planet at the base with the Skrulls. So I do wonder if somehow he's going to get roped into this series of Secret Invasion or the Marvels film, something like that. Okay. If you want to give us a follow on anything, we're on Twitter at TO Infinity Saga, Facebook.com/Infinity Saga Beyond. We also have an Instagram, which I think is, let me look it up real quick. Infinity Saga and Beyond. To Infinity Saga and Beyond. Sorry. TO Infinity Saga and Beyond. Facebook.com/Infinity Saga Beyond. I think I just said that. And email us marvelplusrecaps@gmail.com. Next week, we'll talk episode 2. I might be able to get a guest for that. We'll see. But enjoy Miss Marvel. Enjoy it. And we'll see you next time.